Good evening, boxing fans, and welcome to the best in boxing. Another exciting edition of Enter the Ring Live with your hosts, Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey, but that pumped me up.
Get you pumped up. How did
Yeah.
it look? Did they get messed up there for a minute? Because I felt like I had to move some things around.
Yeah, it got a little grainy for a minute, but and actually I was watching it on my phone, and you could actually see me the entire time. You couldn't see YouTube, but I mean I guess it's okay.
Okay,
Oh,
that's cool. That's cool. You know,
as
but
long as we're not doing anything wrong, we're okay.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. How you guys been?
I'm doing good. How you doing? How you guys doing? A little tired today, like usual. You know.
Yeah.
Today was my rest day, so I haven't really done much of anything.
That's good. You need it sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Really do.
I was telling you guys, I barely made the meeting. We got Edison over here working on the power lines and doing something yet again. I mean, for all these people that are at home working and, having to be on meetings and whatever, and then they're just constantly disrupting the power. And it's a beautiful day outside. It isn't like it's raining or windy. It's, 80 to 75 outside. There's no wind. I don't know what these guys are doing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I sound like a complainer. I guess it could be worse. I could be in Texas, but at the end of the day, though, there's no reason for doing whatever these guys are doing. Or if you're going to tear up the power and shut power off, at least inform the residents, right?
Yeah,
absolutely,
Right.
Absolutely. I see that stuff going on all the time over here where I'm at and stuff.
It's constant, man.
Well, I got that construction that's going on over here and stuff, and these guys, it's not really impeding my view, but it's ridiculous, man. 7 o'clock in the morning, these guys. I mean, I don't know how much I think they're going to build there. It's just ridiculous.
Well, that's the problem here in California, and most people that are watching this from California already know this. We're completely overrun, overpopulated, and they just keep building on top of everything. And just instead of increasing or building up or enhancing the infrastructure, they just tie into everything. Nothing's getting enhanced. Nothing's getting fixed. It's just you're just basically limited the resources of the people that have already had it, have already been paying for it.
Well, isn't that part of what some of the wildfires they had this last year? Wasn't it PGE or whatever that?
Yeah.
Their stuff was all jacked up.
Yeah, they need to be up in those mountains up there, fixing the power grids and the power and the transformers up there, where these fires destroyed hundreds and thousands of acres, not down here in the suburbs where everything seems to be fine as long as they just leave it alone. Those sometimes things you just leave them alone, nothing happens. The minute you start messing with them, things go wrong.
Yeah,
it's just like with Caltrans. I mean, how many times have you been like on a Saturday when middle of the day you want to go to the beach or something, you got Caltrans out here ripping up stuff, and you're like, dude, did you guys just rip this street up like a week ago? It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like 12.
Don't you guys know though that the powers that be, and this was true in the car industry as well, they always try to reinvent the wheel. They're always trying to fix stuff that's not broke. And
I know what it is when it comes to Caltrans. If Caltrans has a $15 million budget for the year and they don't spend that $15 million budget, let's say they only spend 12, then on the fiscal year, they only give them 12. So they always try to exceed it. So they go out there and just start tearing everything up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is.
All right. That's our rant for today. That's our rant for Tuesday.
Hey, what do you guys think of my my painting up here?
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's nice, man. I was going to compliment you on that right now.
It's red, white, and blue, and it's got 50 stars in there.
I actually thought it was a TV at first.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Anyway, all right, go ahead.
Well, guys, let's get right into it. Obviously, we're still probably reeling a little bit from what happened this past weekend. If you joined us on our Sunday show, you know that we had quite a lot to say about the fights that took place, and in the aftermath of what we considered the one low point of the weekend with the Nate Weston robbery, as far as whatever you want to call it, the injustice that was done to Nate Weston here in Corona, California. We went ahead and we wrote a story about it, and it's currently on our website. And I think we're going to start focusing a little bit more on doing this, and maybe it's like a round robin style thing where I'll take a topic, and then next week maybe Eric, you'd take one. AJ, you take one. If it's a busy week in boxing, obviously we could release multiple, but I think that's a good way for people to maybe just read a little bit of our insight that maybe doesn't get conveyed properly on camera, because we do get spirited and sometimes we talk over each other and stuff. But if you wanted a more focused, I guess, understanding of our direction and where our passions lies for the sport, I think in the form of stories and articles, we're going to definitely focus a lot on that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually going to post a link on our YouTube, on our chat for where you can actually read the story and it'll take you to the website. I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And
I'll tell you what, it was really good, very poignant and right to the point, and it actually made tons of sense. So not just because you're my brother, but that's something that quite honestly should have been in a magazine. So great article.
I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe I'll shop it around. Maybe if anybody cares to read it. The thing about it, I guess my goal was, and what I try to point out was, it doesn't matter if it's 12 rounds at the MGM Grand, the bubble, on the fight that the entire world is watching, or a fight that's happening and only being broadcast through Facebook Live or whatever it's called. The 4 rounders and 6 rounders for local prospects. It's not on the grand scale, not as important to the broader public, but to the fighters that are involved and to their families and to their trainers and coaches and loved ones. It's just as important, if not more important, than what was happening in the UK, in Vegas and in Connecticut this past weekend.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It's just unfortunate that boxing. I mean, and I use that term part and parcel because apparently it's just expected. I talked to my daughter this morning. She didn't see the fight. She's met Nate before. She knows who Nate is. And I told her, I said, Zara, did you know Nate fought on Sunday? And she goes, no. She goes, from the gym? I go, yeah. She said, what happened? I go, he got ripped off. I said, he knocked the kid down in the first round, won every round after that. And they robbed him of the decision. And this is where her exact words. And this is a casual boxing fan. My daughters love boxing. All our families, all our kids love boxing. But my daughter's a casual fan. She knows the main fighters. This is her exact words. And I quote, Dad, that's why people don't watch boxing anymore. And why they go and watch the UFC. And a lot of people have been shouting it from the rooftops for the better part of the last few years. But this is somebody who's a casual, and she knows the individual that was involved, one half of the fight, and said that. I said I wish I had that on camera, that I could have said, because that was a real moment. It wasn't scripted. It was just real. Dad, this is why people don't watch boxing anymore. And it's true. I mean, people still watch boxing, but not at the scope they used to. And when things like this happen, how many people just get turned off and go, I'm not watching this. This is ridiculous. These guys still can't get this shit right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It's just sad that, you get this young guy, or not young, but this guy that's.
Oh, he's young. I mean, Nathan young, 28 years old, That's a young man.
I mean, busting his ass, doing everything he should have done. He wins the fight and they don't give it to him. That's just, to me, that's like,
well, that's
in somebody's heart. That's bullshit.
The word that you used to describe how the outcome was rendered is 100% accurate. They didn't give. They gave it to the other guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't who earned it.
Yeah.
It was who the judges decided to give it to based on their promotion, based on. And I'm not here just to shit on Thompson Boxing, because they do have some good young fighters, and they've rendered some good decisions or have influenced some good decisions. We know a fighter, AJ George Acosta, that we met about a year ago, that fights for Thompson. He's a good, young, strong kid, and I would never say anything, to him, to say that the promotional outfit you're working with is not on the up and up or whatever, because I'm sure that there have been close decisions. Sometimes a close decision, can go either way. But in my eyes, this was not even a close fight.
No. Well, yeah, it's ironic you said that. Is that and I'll show you right here. This is actually, you can even see the crowd's reaction.
After going all 6 rounds here at the Omega Products International Event Center, we consult the official scorecard to determine a winner. Judge Balagan scores it 58-55 in favor of Brewer. Judge DeLuca 57-56 in favor of Weston. And Judge Sandoval scores it 58-55 in favor of the winner by way of split decision, Richard Cooper.
As you guys can see there, I mean, even though there wasn't a lot of people, there was some people there. I mean, people were obviously very.
Well, no, the comment section is where the people were voicing their displeasure.
Yeah.
90% of them in the comment section were saying, like I said in the write-up, robbery, BS. An occasional, one of every 10 comments was, "Hey, good job, Richard. He won." Whatever. But like I said, those are fanboys / fangirls who really don't know what they're watching. And I don't care who they are, where they come from, and what their history and background in boxing is, I'd say it to their face. What happened on that late afternoon on Sunday was a clear-cut win for Nathan Weston and not for Richard Brewer. And as far as I'm concerned, Richard Brewer, I don't know the young man, but I don't think he's going to be too eager to jump right back in the ring with Nate Weston, because now he has a pissed off Nate Weston in front of him.
Well, not only that, Weston wasn't even, he drops the guy in the first round, and then he comes back and he knocks him down again, and they didn't call it a knockdown.
Yeah, that second one, we questioned that. They never even showed the replay. Like,
yeah, they did. They just kind of breezed over it. But I think the thing is that people are going to be like, well, why are you guys so concerned about a 6-rounder that was fought at Omega, meat packing place in Corona? I'm going to tell you why, because it starts from the ground floor up. When you start getting bad decisions like this, it's just going to, and then what does it have to be a multi-million-dollar fight? Does it have to be a fight between two, household name guys?
No.
It's a bad decision for it to matter. No, it doesn't. It starts right here, because this is how careers are jeopardized before they even get started.
Yeah. So 10 years from now, these judges, who knows? Maybe they're going to be doing the big, heavyweight fights and the middleweight fights. Who knows? And if they don't have the wherewithal to actually have integrity,
and that's the key word right there, integrity. There's no the first and the last judge. I think the second judge, they said Max DeLuca that called the fight 57-56 in favor of Nate. Now he got the right guy. He still got the wrong score.
Yeah,
it was more like 59-54 or 53. Really, because of the knockdown, the extra point. But
I have a question if they're watching the fight. Even a guy like DeLuca, who's an experienced guy, what were they watching?
Because I don't know what they were watching.
Because you couldn't give Brewster, is that his name? Brewer, whatever. What a horrible last name. You couldn't give him any real scoring based on any advantage. Was he a guy as far as ring generalship? No. Weston. Was he the aggressor? Effective aggressiveness? No, it was Weston. Weston won on every level. It just didn't make any sense. And what these guys were watching, for once, I'd like to see a fighter. I've only seen it happen a couple times in my life, where a fighter was granted a decision and they knew they lost, and that fighter actually went to the fighter, didn't say that they thought the other guy won, but was very kind of like humble and said, hey, we could do it again. This guy walked away like, you could see it in his face after the fight ended. He knew he lost,
Yeah.
And
I was thinking the same, AJ. I was thinking the same thing. It's going to take, quite honestly, it's going to take an honest fighter to know that he got his ass handed to him, to then walk up and say, you know what? No. In order for the judges,
you can't really do that. But I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. As these fighters have to have integrity too. You know what I mean? Because this Brewer's going to go back and he's going to, then he's going to start hearing all this thing. Oh, you did a great job. You did this. You did that.
No.
And he didn't. He's a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned.
No,
he lost Nate.
Bro, on the contrary, he's not hearing anything but negative. That kid is hearing it from the only people that are giving him props are his people.
That's what I'm saying. His people are going to be like,
well, let them
into him.
Because if you want to feed somebody a lie, if you want to prop up somebody and say, oh, but you did good, knowing that it's a backhanded, underhanded admission. Hey, everybody's got a conscience, right? And the kid knows he lost the fight. He didn't hardly land a glove on Nate the entire fight. Nate looked like he could have won another 6 rounds. Either way, the 3 guys that matter in the building, as far as I'm concerned, were the 3 announced team. I mean, especially Dougie Fisher. Dougie Fisher is the editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine, very well-respected writer his entire career. He's probably, I'm guessing, a 20-year career by now. And Steve Kim, who's a writer for ESPN, both those guys, I don't know if you saw their reaction after the fight. They were like, we don't know what happened here, but we comfortably had Nate winning that fight. And even throughout the fight, if you listen to the commentary, all they could say was how shocked they were that here's a guy that picked up boxing late and really doesn't have like a long amateur background and a big promotion behind him and all that. I couldn't believe it. They were hoping, probably their hopes were that after this fight, after the proper decision was rendered, hey, maybe somebody knocks on the door, picks up the phone and calls Nate. And maybe that'll still happen. Maybe the guy Capone, who's a matchmaker for PBC, saw what happened. I'm quite sure he saw what happened. In fact, I probably should reach out to him and tell him, hey, what did you think of that? Because when you're going to pull a fighter up to fight on a PBC card, don't pull the guy that that even though on paper it says he won, you knew damn well he did not win the fight. Don't pull that kid up. Pull up the kid that actually really won the fight.
Well, that kind of goes back to what we talked about too, was the fact that why this is so such a mood point with, especially with people who boxing is a part of their life. A guy like Nate is now put in a situation where his future prospects could be put in jeopardy. They can turn around and look and go, well, you know, we were considering him for this, but now he just lost this, without actually even watching the fight. How many times do they actually watch the fight? It's like record execs out there. You see these guys that are reps. That
Oh yeah, they just
they know nothing about the music and stuff. But this kind of reminds me, Eric, you made a point about an honest fighter. I remember a story years and years ago when Salvador Sanchez fought against Danny Little Red Lopez. He had stopped Lopez in the 13th round in a TKO. Sanchez was so down on himself because the fight was so close and so competitive. Sanchez didn't even want to take his belt home. He literally left the ring. Not until he came back in the rematch and faced Lopez. And even though it was a round after, Sanchez was much more dominatory, and then he felt he earned them. That's the kind of fighters we need today. Fighters that know, you know, when they've done something well, when they've done something, when they haven't. Don't always blame your opponent for your bad performance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, true. Well,
Very true. But yeah, hey, so for Nate out there, if you're listening, you won that damn fight.
well, I've already reached out to Nate's people, and I talked to I guess you would call it like a stablemate of his, a guy named Ricky Cuellar today, and
Good little fighter.
He agreed with what happened. Anyways, his strength and conditioning coach, you know, Nate probably just needs a couple of days to kind of just clear his head a little bit, and then I think the intention is if we can to get him on the show for this weekend, if we can, for Sunday's show, Sunday 5 o'clock. To have him on the show, even if it's for a 15-20-minute segment. And of course, it's not for him to just whine and complain, because that's not the kind of person he is, but just to tell his side of the story and what he's feeling at this moment. Now that he's had a week to kind of digest what happened to him, where does he go from here? Does he say to himself, okay, I'm going to come back stronger? Does he say, you know what, man, I mean, granted, I mean, I'm not sure what Nate's purse was for this fight. It probably wasn't nothing to write home about. But you're thinking, I put myself through all this with the hopes of increasing my purse the next fight and getting on a big promotion. And if this just derails me and I have to now come fight at a local card again, whether it's, All-Star Boxing or whatever, meet the Quiet Cannon or Omega International, I mean, is he going to want to do it? Is he going to get up for that again? Sometimes fighters just go, you know what, this is this game. And here's the thing, man, everybody knows boxing is boxing, man. Boxing is boxing, but at some point the stigma has to be washed away, and the only way to wash it away is by rendering fair decisions. And I don't like you said, AJ, it doesn't matter if it's a 4-rounder, 2 guys making their pro debut, or a guy who's 30-0 fighting for a world title.
Yeah.
Something's got to be done. So, quick question. I mean, and AJ and you and I talked about this earlier. What do you think should or could be done in a situation like this?
File a protest that goes nowhere.
No.
I mean, for the future. I mean, to keep judges accountable.
We've discussed this on past shows. We definitely need some type of an advisory board that's going to hold these judges accountable, and referees too. Because you see, the problem is, unless you put this problem in front of their face, in front of a panel of people who are watching the same thing and making them basically, argue their argument or whatever you want to say, and
they have to answer.
Yeah, they have to answer
questions.
So let's say for some reason the judge, it was a crucial round and he had scored it a 10-9 round in favor of the fighter who should have lost. And you watch this round and the fighter's done nothing. At that point, he's going to tell him, okay, exactly. We want to know what you're seeing. How did you score this 10-9? Because maybe there's something we're not aware of. And when they can't answer those, then you have to start questioning their legitimacy as far as and their competence to be a judge.
I think another way, quite honestly, instead of just having 3 judges, what if you had 7? What if you had 7 judges, quite honestly?
Just 7, it could just be another 4 more to the problem, to be honest with you. The way things are done today.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe you take the 7 judges, you add up all their totals, and then you divide it out, and that's your score. You get one score.
I tell you, bro, it comes down to accountability. Unless they're held accountable, where they could be suspended, fined, or terminated, banned for whatever. It's just like the pharma companies right now that are putting vaccines out there that are not FDA. They hide behind this indemnity thing that just protects them. Unless you're held accountable, they don't care about the risk. They don't care about what they're putting out there. They don't care about the perception that's given back to them because they just turn the page and move on.
Yeah.
Teddy,
Don't get the vaccine, by the way.
Teddy Atlas tried for years and railed against the establishment of boxing and employed them to basically put together a federal commission on boxing. Can't control what happens in Mexico, China, Russia, the UK, but in America, if you're fighting in America, any of the 50 states, there has to be a federal commission. Yeah. And what happened to Teddy Atlas? He was forced out at ESPN. He was too vocal. He was too willing to put his reputation and his life on the line to tell the truth. And look what happened to him.
There's probably a lot of money.
Paulie Malignaggi.
The same thing.
Same thing.
Not afraid. As a fighter, was never afraid to voice his opinion. As an announcer, never was afraid to voice his opinion. And now look at him. Now he's unemployed. I think he still does some broadcasts for Sky Sports in the UK. But what a shame. The absolute best commentator alive. Point blank. Period. It's Paulie number one and everybody else down here number two.
So they get rid of the guy. That's just another picture of what we live in today. We live in a society where if you don't agree with the popular vote, then you're just some idiot and you don't deserve your position. And unfortunately, in Paulie, a guy who was a top fighter his entire life, he's a top tier guy, and now we got to settle for guys like Steve Farhood and all these other idiots. I know nothing. Even Sergio Mora, who honestly was a B-level fighter.
Sergio Mora, Chris Mannix. These are the guys that we're stuck with. The guys that really have no history of boxing at all, other than what they watched on YouTube and maybe the few fights that they were comped tickets to, that they probably missed the first 6 fights in the swing bout, only watched the main event and then left right afterwards. Those are the people we're subjected to. It's a shame.
It's a shame. It really is.
They need to send us some tickets.
Is Paulie still doing his podcast?
From Brooklyn to the world. I'm not sure, honestly. You know what? That would be a God. You know what? I used to listen to that podcast quite often.
It's a great podcast. Yeah, everyone listen.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow up on that. I'm gonna check into that.
I found on YouTube too, and I'll post it on our I posted it on our YouTube channel right now. There's a Nate Weston. It's a 2-minute little documentary, little story about him. I posted it on there right now for anybody that wants to watch it.
Oh, you found it somewhere?
Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I guess for Nate, on to the next one. I guess for us, on to the next story. I guess. I know the big fight coming up this weekend is
Canelo.
The Saturday, the 27th, Canelo versus, I can't say the gentleman's first name, but Yildirim is who he's fighting.
It's Anvi. Avani.
Avni.
Avni.
Avni Yildirim, right?
From Turkey, yeah.
The Turkish fighter.
He's a Turkey. Yeah,
he's a Turkish fighter. He'll be fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez. Will be defending his 168-pound title at the Hard Rock, not the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, but actual Hard Rock Stadium, where the Miami Dolphins play. Now, Florida's been wide open since August. I'm not sure what the capacity. If even though it's wide open, I'm sure the capacity will still be a bit limited. But man, I was fed some wrong information that fight was happening in Vegas, but I'm actually glad it's not happening in Vegas, because that means if it's in Vegas, it means no fans. Canelo.
That's about big things for Canelo, huh?
Yeah, I mean, in the pandemic, this would probably be with the exception of the Errol Spence Danny Garcia fight, which did take place in Texas Stadium in Arlington. That was a big fight with a lot of fans in attendance. I'm guessing this is going to be. I'm not going to say it's going to be a sellout. No way, because this is not. It's not a super fight. Look, it's a super fight for Yildirim, because this is his dream. He's been fighting his entire life for this moment.
It's for the people that are clamoring on Canelo. This is his mandatory, and and the thing is, you got to look at Canelo. Man, this guy's staying active. I mean,
he said he wants to fight 4 times this year.
Yeah,
maybe 5 times.
That's ridiculous, and he's doing it. I mean, like I said,
but you know what? That's keeping him tuned up. You know what I mean? You don't want to lax, because the moment you take that 6-month layoff and you have to get back in the ring and make it live, it's oh shit, there is a little rust.
Yeah,
true.
And the undercard doesn't look bad. The undercard's actually not a bad undercard.
I can't wait for that fight.
I mean, on paper, the undercard looks pretty good, but then again, you never know what kind of fight you're going to get. I mean, it could be, I mean, how many fights over the years that on paper were just supposed to be just a so-so fight, and they turn out to just be, absolute wars and memorable fights. I'm excited to see Canelo fight again because, like you said, AJ, he's staying active and it's his mandatory. He's given the fans of Florida their first taste of a big time event in a long time. I can't remember the last time a big fight was held in Miami. I mean,
Hey, if I knew they had people being able to watch the fight, I'd be ready to jump on a plane right now and go down there and get ready to watch this fight. I mean, I'm just climbing just to get somewhere, man.
I'll go. I'll meet you there, brother.
I know. I actually surround myself with monitors when I'm watching the fight to make me feel like I'm at the fight. So I hear stuff behind me, so I feel like I'm at the fight. You know? But
so I know that you guys went back and you guys kind of watched. I mean, for me, there was no need to watch tape on Canelo because I've seen just about every one of his fights since he came on the scene. What did you guys think of Yildirim? What do you think his chance? I mean, he's physically, obviously, he's a good sized guy. He's bigger than Canelo, which most guys at this weight are going to be.
Yeah.
What do you think? And there, I guess the rumor is, or it might not even be a rumor, it might be a fact that he's actually been a sparring partner of Canelo's over multiple times over years.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, you can go ahead and go first, Eric. You go ahead and go.
I give him 4 rounds. That's it.
4 rounds?
4 rounds.
What did you think about his overall style as far as his ring generalship?
I watched his stuff today. He's too slow.
Yeah, he's
slow, huh?
Really slow, man.
Too slow. Canelo's gonna eat his lunch.
So you're calling KO or TKO within 4 rounds?
KO or TKO in 4. I mean, hell, if Eubanks did it, yeah.
Do you think that Canelo would try to get rounds in though?
I don't
Or do you
so.
think he just wants to finish as soon as possible?
Not. Because this is just kind of like a stay busy fight, I think, for him. You know, I mean, it's his mandatory, yes, but I think he's going to try and get him out quick, and I hope so because it's going to make it fun for me anyway. You know, I honestly, I think at most 4 rounds.
I don't know. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I honestly think Canelo's going to come out and just, how do I say it? Like kind of like he did with Kovalev the first several rounds. I mean, Kovalev was given a lot of credit for his movement and his jab and stuff and keeping the smaller man, you know, the aggressor off of him. But I think Canelo really just I think he wanted to get some rounds in. And I don't think he's going to want to get in anything in the double digits, but I see him maybe the first 3-4 rounds, maybe just kind of fill out, you know, exchange here or there. And then probably around midway through the fight, really kind of pour it on. That's what I think. I mean,
it's your 10, brother.
But it won't shock,
brother.
But it won't shock. Yeah.
Says it doesn't go past 4.
Yeah, no, I won't take that bet because I don't. But it wouldn't shock me though. It wouldn't shock me if Canelo does stop him in 4. I just think he's just the number 1 pound for pound fighter right now. And until I see something different, to me it doesn't matter who he fights because they can say whatever they want about Canelo and whatever. He's still fighting regularly, and now he's fighting his mandatory, which is what guys like Bud Crawford and all those guys did supposedly for so long, and they were never, you know. That never took away from their, I guess, ranking and pound for pound. So that's how I feel.
No, yeah, and I basically convey your same sentiments. I mean, I think Canelo is doing what a fighter at this stage in his career needs to do, unlike other fighters out there. There's one thing about getting older and stuff. You got to grease those sprockets, those joints, those mechanisms in your body every once in a while. You just can't let them sit dormant and expect they're going to pop back like they used to when you were a younger fighter. Mm-hmm. Even though Canelo is not what I would consider a senior, but he's 30 years old now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But staying regular is
he's been fighting half his life. Yeah.
Yeah. It's keeping him tuned. It's keeping him sharp. You know, and then you look at other fighters, and I hate to use the guy's name, but like in Gennady Golovkin, who fights a lot less and he's a lot older guy. You see it in his performances. You know, certain things you'll lose. And Canelo doesn't want to lose any of these tools that he's worked so hard to develop. You know, the only way to keep him sharp is to continue to fight as often as possible and keep that memory fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. On top of that, I mean, it's got to be a decent paycheck for him as well.
Always a decent paycheck for Canelo.
No, exactly.
Always.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, if he wants to fight at least 4 times this year, this is the way he does it. I mean, he's going to go out. He's going to end this quick. I think the next one might be a little bit more challenging. He'll end that one. You know what I mean? But he's got to keep himself, I guess, in tune to know that 1, he can knock somebody out quick if he needs to, and then take the longer rounds like his last fight. You know, I mean, the guy's the whole package as far as I'm concerned. So
I mean, I look at it this way. You never look past a fighter. I know this guy's not going to get a lot of. He's going to be a huge underdog and stuff. And I don't see Canelo overlooking anybody. He's never
No.
that type of a
Yeah.
fighter. He knows that one mistake, one punch, and this guy is a physically strong guy. And he's only 22 years old. I know he was defeated by both Durrell and he was stopped by Eubanks. The one knock on him is that he tends to leave himself kind of like laying out to dry, and he takes a lot of uppercuts. He was knocked down severely by Eubanks by an uppercut, and that's one of Canelo's patented punches. So
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not trying to say that Canelo hits harder than Eubanks or Eubanks whatever, but fights, different styles make different fights. But I'm sure Canelo's going to come in here with the attitude, I'm going to put on a great performance. I want to get out of this, as healthy as possible and stuff. And he's not going to overlook this guy, especially if he's
No.
winning a before.
No, he's way too professional for that, and the team around him and stuff, and he knows what's on the line down the road. There's no way he takes this guy lightly.
No. So let's just say this, Mike. Hypothetical situation. Canelo goes in there and he does his mandatory like everybody expects he's going to do. What do you see in the future prospect? What do you see the next big fight?
I think they're waiting to sign the Billy Joe Saunders fight. I think he gets through this and they start negotiations for that. I don't know what happened with Billy Joe was signed to fight somebody. I know he just recently fought, who was it, Martin Murray? And
that was back in 2020.
Yeah, but it was just a few months ago. It was December, right?
Yeah.
December. So it's not that long ago. That was his last fight. He did not look impressive to me one bit, really. He really looked like he's slipping. Maybe it's because he was fighting Martin Murray. Maybe he couldn't get up for that or whatever. He'll be up for the Canelo fight. He's going to be brash and braggadocious. But I think Canelo just easily, he might not stop Billy Joe Saunders, but I think he beats him easily. I think Billy Joe Saunders midway through that fight realizes that, hey, I'm in over my head, and he gets on his bike and he just tries to avoid, he just tries to last the distance. So, but that's what I think is immediately going to happen after this. I don't think we're going to see Charlo. I don't think we're going to see the Munguia.
Well, really, there's nothing. I mean, because if we're just talking 168, Charlo's still fighting at 160, so he hasn't even, claimed himself to be that weight. But the 168 division is starting to thin out a bit. We got Canelo Alvarez, we got Callum Smith, who lost Canelo Alvarez. We still got the monster, who we all universally agree is the best 168 pounder, and David Benavidez, who has a fight coming up soon. You got Daniel Jacobs, you got Khalid Plant, who's not a bad fighter, but he's nowhere near the level. I'm sorry, Caleb Plant, the level of Benavidez or Canelo, even though in his mind he thinks he is. Yeah. And then from there, you just got some retreads. You got Ryder, you got Lemieux, you got Rocky Fielding. It's really thinned out at 168 pounds.
I think Canelo's intention, he wants to unify at 168. Am I right? He wants to win all the belts. I don't think that Billy Joel currently has a belt.
I don't know. Yeah, he does.
Okay, so he defends his belt here. He goes and takes Billy Joe's belt. Maybe that sets up for a fight against Caleb Plant. Maybe a bit of a mega fight. I don't think it's a mega fight in terms of skill, but it's a mega fight in terms of it's the PBC's number one guy at 168, which is Caleb Plant, or at least the guy with the belt and all the accolades right now, because David Benavidez is a PBC fighter as well. But, I'm not going to say he's on their shit list, but he's not the guy that they're pushing real hard right now. He's had some discipline issues in the last couple of years. So Caleb seems to be doing everything right. So, I mean, Canelo beats Yildirim on Saturday. He then go fight sometime in the summer. Maybe he takes on Billy Joe Saunders, wins that belt. And then maybe in the fall, maybe we get that, late fall, we get that Caleb Plant. I mean, maybe by September. I mean, we're looking at September. That is Mexican Independence Day, right? September, Vegas is back open because they're opening up shows and stuff in Vegas again. I talked to Neil. He says they're starting to open up the shows. And
they are?
Yeah, some of the casinos now are going back to 24/7. Some of them are only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now they're starting to open up 7 days a week, 24. So I think by September, right? I mean, everything is going to be pretty well back to full capacity, and then we'll see that Caleb Plant coming into Vegas, T-Mobile Arena or MGM Grand against Canelo Alvarez. Canelo makes easy work of him, I believe. Nothing Caleb Plant has done to shows me that he has either the toughness or the skill.
I think a good fight would be Plant and Benavidez.
I think Benavidez. I don't think
Benavidez.
It'd be a good fight for Benavidez, not such a good fight for Caleb Plant.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, Caleb Plant, to me, he's another one that's one of those brash guys that just, maybe it's because, he spends too much time at the Mayweather gym. I don't know. But the bottom line is he's feeding himself a line of bullshit if he really thinks he's looking for a payday. Mike knows this. You know this. people that know boxing know this, but Caleb Plant's not ready to give away his title right now. He likes that strap around his waist. He likes to walk into the Vegas casinos that are going to be opening again soon and say, "Hey, look at I'm the champion" and stuff.
Yeah,
It's a short time, because as soon as a guy like Benavidez, after this victory he's going to get coming up, puts his eyes, and he's going to go after Caleb Plant because he's the #1 mandatory coming up after this. So at that point, Plant may never even get a chance to see Canelo because he might just sink in that Benavidez swamp, dude.
yeah.
True.
But the same situation's happened at 160. The 160 has the same problem. You got guys like Gennady. You got your top 5 guys: Gennady Golovkin, Jermell Charlo, Jaime Munguia, Chris Eubanks, and Demetrius Andrade. Here's the problem.
That's vacant right now too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the problem is everybody below them has been beaten by somebody on the list that's above them. So it's really started to thin out. So if you really look at it, you got these 4 guys. If you broke it down to these, let's say the 6 guys, and you put in Murata, the kid from Japan.
Yeah.
There's your super 6. Gennady, Charlo, Munguia, Eubanks, Andrade. Think about it. I mean,
That'd be fantastic.
it would be amazing. I know
Yeah.
who my favorite is going to be. I'm not going to say right now because then they're going to think I'm a fanboy, but I know who
I'm a
gonna say
fanboy.
right
Munguia. Sorry.
I know Jaime's been training, man. I follow him on social media and stuff, and
He looks good right now, man.
he's just training hard every day. But he did say something last week in an interview. He says we're not going to sit around and wait forever for Triple G to make this fight happen. They'll look elsewhere. They'll look, and I really don't think at this stage, Gennady's still clamoring for that 3rd Canelo fight, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't.
Well, I think he's holding on, and he's hoping that Canelo realizes that he's in a situation after he beats Billy Joe Saunders, and he can't get that, and he can't secure that Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's not going to fight Canelo Alvarez.
I was thinking the same thing. If
not going to fight him,
if it demands are too high, they come up with all kinds of excuses, and he has to vacate the belt or whatever. Well, then maybe Canelo does revisit the trilogy with Triple G.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be a strategic thing. So Gennady Golovkin's banking in on the fact that Caleb Plant runs from Canelo and says, "Hey, I don't want." He's going to bid himself out and stuff. Canelo's not going to step in with Benavidez. He's a tough guy, but he's not suicidal. He understands that. So at that point, what's the big money fight out there? There's nothing really. Take on Gennady Golovkin.
Get the money. But here's the question for you though: what weight do they fight that at?
I don't see Canelo going down to 160 pounds. He can if he wants to, but he's going to make it. I think he's going to force Gennady's hand to go to 168, which I don't understand why Gennady has such an issue going to 168. He said it numerous times that he has no interest at 168, which I don't understand.
I don't either. I don't know. He's the only fighter. Well, look at, not the only, but in the last couple decades, the only other fighter that stayed in one division his entire career was Costa And Costa cleaned out the division and unified multiple times.
But nobody was calling for Costa at 147 pounds.
Yeah, there was nothing really at 147. I think 140 and down was where all the talent was. The Diego Corrales, Ricky Hatton, all that. Anyways, you're right, bro. Why does Triple G have such an aversion to going to 168?
He won't even discuss it. I know that they were talking to his trainer, Jonathan Banks, right? Jonathan Banks.
Yeah.
Maybe his natural weight is the 160.
It's not that.
He's been fighting it that way for over a decade. What, 12 years now?
Yeah, I think Triple G is very, very well aware of his limitations. And his limitations are just like it happens to everybody. It's happening to us. When you get older, you get a little thinner skin, you get a little bit more bone brittle. And that extra poundage is going to bring, I mean, let's be honest, okay? Triple G is a great fighter. Whether you like him or you don't like him, the guy's a great fighter. But he is at that stage in his career where it's starting to tilt a little bit. And at this point, a fight against Munguia at 160 is a lot of risk with not a whole lot of reward.
Huge risk.
Venturing up to 168 and taking on a fighter like David Benavidez that that fight's not going to last very long is basically career ending. So what does Gennady do? He's going to go after the smaller guy who he's been in the ring with twice for the big money in Canelo, bank on that. And then he's going to say, sayonara, everybody have a great life.
You're right. That extra 10 pounds. I mean, I'm sorry, that extra 8 pounds, 10, 12 in the ring on fight night. I mean, Gennady has never been the fastest, the fastest handed fighter out there. And that's going to slow him up even more. That extra 10 pounds slows you down a little bit.
As I say, he understands his body. That's one thing about those Russian fighters. That like how Costa is, they're very in tune on what they're like Lomachenko. They know what their limitations are. They know what they need to work on. And Gennady's like, I'm not going to make myself slower. I'm not going to make myself more vulnerable against guys that hit a hell of a lot harder.
So is there anything out there for Gennady right now? I mean,
Munguia.
Got anything signed?
There's nothing. And I actually, if you look at the other guys at 160, Demetrius Andrade says he wants to fight, but he doesn't. Demetrius Andrade is the biggest talker out there. And you know,
They got him number 3.
He's shown flashes of great skill. I mean, he's a skillful guy, and he's a physically big guy for that division. But he's another guy that
he's a tall guy, but he's not a big bone guy like Munguia.
He doesn't want to fight anybody.
He doesn't.
And it's been proven in his last 5 opponents. I mean, who has he fought? You know?
Well, his last fight was against Luke Kessler, and it was an embarrassment. I mean, because let's be honest. And the fact that Andrade didn't look all that great, and Kessler had his moments. So you have to think yourself, this is going to go back to the argument, Mike and Eric, that we've made so many times.
He's 32 already. So, I mean,
if you don't fight quality people, if you don't fight people, fighting the people that people don't want to fight, that's what prepares you for the mega fights. When you're fighting guys that are been beaten by anybody, you know, who's fighting at the Blue Horizon that week, it's not helping your thing. That's where Gennadi's running short. I understand they were mandatories. That's where Andrade's running short. I give credit to guys like Charlo, Munguia, anybody else. They're trying to get whoever they can get out there right now, just like Canelo. And then there's fighters that just like Billy Joe Saunders. When's the last time Billy Joe Saunders got in with a halfway decent fighter?
It's been years.
You know, these guys don't realize it. It's just like in football, Mike. You know this. Sometimes us, when we were playing football, our worst games were against the worst teams because we play down to their level. You fight down to their level. And that's what happens. And you get used to fighting at that level. And then when you step in there with a guy who's really good, then you're like, oh shit, I forgot how to be that good.
You get exposed.
Yeah.
All your shortcomings, everything rises to the surface. And so
absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what else we got going on as far as with fights?
So I gave my prediction 4 rounds for the Canelo fight. What are your guys' predictions?
You want me to go first? You want to go first, Mike?
Go ahead, AJ.
You know, I think the guy's a tough guy. If he's been in there with Canelo, the one advantage that he has is that he's been in the ring with Canelo. He's not going to know everything because don't get me wrong, there's a big difference between sparring and an actual fight. But he might just bank on the fact that, hey, me and Canelo shared a fucking, you know, I bought some pizza and I gave him 2 slices, so he might take it easy on me or whatever. I see it going. I see Canelo getting some work in. I see around the 6th round. And then
I feel the same way.
James Kirkland type of knockout, you know.
I feel the same way. I feel like he's gonna. I don't want to use the term carry him, but I really think he's not gonna really go. He's not gonna really go all guts and glory the first several rounds. I think he's just gonna. You know, he knows the guy. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of when Floyd fought Robert Guerrero. You know, it's like he knew the guy needed a payday, and he just it was a tough fight, but it wasn't the best version of Floyd Mayweather that night. But I feel the same way. I feel that Canelo is going to, you know, just kind of go through the motions for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and maybe around like round 6, he puts his foot on the gas and maybe shifts into another gear, and then maybe he gets the guy out of there, you know, or maybe he just puts a beating on the guy. I could see him beating the guy with like a body shot or something, landing in one of those coveted left hooks to the body, dropping the guy, and you know, the guy just taking the full 10 count and be like, hey, you know what? Thanks, Canelo. You know, thanks for the payday, the career high payday. Then again, like you said, bro, anything can happen. It's boxing. Look what we just witnessed this past Saturday. Something that most people didn't think would happen. And like we said earlier, it's not that most people didn't think it could happen, but in the manner in which it happened is what shocked people. So
I tell you, I had to watch
a devastating knockout.
Yeah, I had to watch the fight again. I had to watch the fight again the other day.
I've seen it 3 times now.
Yeah, just for the hell of it. And I'll tell you the thing that just really, really got me about it was the fact that at moments you could see, I believe it was the 7th round, and Burchelt was just pursuing Valdez, but you could just see the size difference between Burchelt and Valdez. Valdez was so much smaller than Burchelt. I definitely think that the weight was an issue. He's not as skilled, but when Valdez almost made that mistake of leaning up on the ropes, you know, and then the Reynosos basically told him, hey, you got to stay off those ropes, man. If that guy pitches, because you can't take those bombs. I mean, this guy's throwing scuds at you. That's one thing. I mean, you saw the effects on Valdez. He had to get out of there. His best defense was to move.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Did you say scuds?
Scuds.
Yeah, like a scud missile.
Scud missile.
I've seen scud missiles. I've got pictures of scuds.
I know. Where do you think I got the thing from? What do you think I found in a dictionary? No, but like I said, it was an amazing fight. You know, I'm sure we'll see Burchell back again. You know, he's such a strong guy, and I hope somebody like a Shakur Stevens or one of these other big mouths make that mistake and think that Burchell is, you know, yesterday's newspaper, and they're gonna find out real quick because I've seen Burchell look so much better.
I would love to see
out of his element in that fight. I don't know what it was.
Burchell would end Shakur. I mean, there's as far as I'm concerned, Shakur, bring it on. Burchell would beat you down. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we you know, he's got some soul searching to do first, guys. Before there's any talk of any other mega fight, he's got some soul searching, and he's got to heal mentally and physically before he, you know, gets back into the gym training. You know,
hey, Mike, on a quick note, real quick, another fight. I see that Anthony Durrell is making a comeback this week against Karan Davis. I've seen Davis fight a few times. He's a tough guy, you know, out of Philly. I was really hoping that the dog was going to kind of call it a day after the Benavidez loss. It was, you know.
Well, to the contrary, he started making a bunch of excuses. Not right after the fight, but in recent weeks, I'm reading interviews where he's saying, well, I was in control of that fight and the cut happened and then everything changed. It's
that tells me he has brain damage.
Yeah, brain damage. And you know, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow when you have to admit your own. I mean, when you have to admit either defeat or your own demise, it's a hard thing to imagine, you know? So, I don't know, man. I don't know why he's continuing to fight. I mean, what is out there for him? What does he think he's going to get a shot?
I would just think because, you know, here's a guy that, you know, that battled cancer. People that don't know Durrell's backstory and stuff. This is a guy who was in remission from cancer and stuff, almost lost his life. And great guy. Don't get me wrong. Durrell's always been, you know, a class.
I like both Durrell brothers.
Yeah,
I do. I thought they were both quality fighters.
But after that fight against Benavidez, man, and I saw the beating that he took in that fight, I just thought to myself, you know what? You know, he's still a smart guy. 168. And I don't know, man. And this guy that he's fighting, Davis, he's one of those kind of guys where it could be that situation like when that Anthony Young fought against Saddam Ali and stuff. You know, you just don't know. You got this guy comes in there, and the only fight I ever saw Davis not look good in was his loss to the late Patrick Day. But everybody knows Patrick Day. He was a guy that ran under the radar, but what an amazing fighter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
hey, you know what, now that you said that, you know, I completely forgot that he was fighting this weekend. I mean, and I'm not trying to put this out there to, I don't know, make it happen. I don't want to put it out there in the osmosis and then it comes to fruition because it's not a fight I want to see, but it wouldn't be above or wouldn't be beneath someone like a Caleb Plant signing to fight someone like Anthony Durrell if Durrell's successful in this fight this coming weekend. Because Caleb Plant needs to stay busy fight, especially if Canelo is going to be going off fighting Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, look at he just fought Caleb Truax, who had no business being in the ring fighting for any kind of title, right? Yeah. And then, I mean, maybe Anthony Durrell is being propped up for, okay, Anthony, if you look somewhat good, then we can put the spin on it and, you know, do the backstory and all that behind the scenes and all that stuff. And then you're the next challenge for Caleb Plant.
Well, I'll tell you this, bro. There's only one way that Durrell gets that fight. And that's if Durrell looks really suspect against Davis. If he comes out and looks like mediocre, he'll get that Caleb Plant. But if he goes in there and steamrolls Davis, Caleb Plant's not going to go anywhere near Durrell's house on the other side of the street. It's not going to happen. Caleb Plant is showing that he does not want to face competition. He talks, but look at his ring resume. He doesn't fight.
His last three fights were atrocious.
Yes.
Mike Lee, the guy that he fought, the Planet Fitness guy, who the Notre Dame graduate, whatever. Nice guy, you know, but had no business ever fighting on a televised card, as far as I'm concerned. And then I don't even know the next guy that he fought. I can't remember the guy's name who he fought. I believe he went the distance with Caleb Plant. And then the fight with Caleb Truax that also went the distance. Am I right?
I guess another shot fighter. We knew was shot going into this fight. He looked shot in his last fight.
But like you said just a few minutes ago, these fights are not preparing him. These fights are setting him up for a career high payday and a vicious beating against somebody like Canelo Alvarez, against someone like a David Benavidez, against I don't know, maybe there's another guy at 160 that wants to venture into the 168. You know what I mean? And take him on. I mean, it's not going to end well for him. It's not. I've already envisioned it. I already see it in my head. I've already seen him taking a major beating from any of the top guys at 168. I just do. There's nothing.
Eric, what do you think? What do you think of Caleb Plant? What's your impression of him? No.
Yeah, he's
soft.
Mediocre, I think he's at best.
Yeah. Feather-fisted.
I mean, he's got some boxing skill. I mean, he's got some boxing skill.
He does. But when you put him in there with a top tier guy, he's going to lose. I don't care if he loses in 4 rounds or if he loses in 12. He's going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough inside of him, that fire that's going to make him step out of himself to become a champion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or a unified champion.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does have a belt right now. Who did he? Oh, he won the belt from
There's
Scott
25 belts out there. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
who cares?
That was an impressive win against Uzcategui. That's the one fight I will give Caleb Plant credit for, because I really thought Jose Uzcategui was going to steamroll him. But
let's be honest,
Uzcategui, it was very much like Burchelt and Valdez, one-dimensional, slow, plodding, and Caleb Plant took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that and the fact that he had the 2 tough fights, Uzcategui, the one where he actually got punched in the face, if you remember, against in his 2 fights with Andre Durrell. In the first fight, he hit Durrell what they felt was after the round had ended and stuff.
Yeah.
And Durrell's uncle comes over and punches Uzcategui. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then they had the rematch, and this time Jose took care of business and stuff. But very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Very, very one-dimensional.
That was another.
Hey, I know that this will be kind of off topic. I know you guys probably already covered this last Sunday, and I didn't get a chance to because I was, actually working.
Are we gonna pick on AB right now?
I'm gonna pick on AB a little.
Come on, man.
Sorry. Hey, you know what? I like AB just like you do, but he did not win that fight. He didn't win that fight.
I try to hide it, Mike. I try to hide it.
I gotta be honest with you guys. I only watched the highlights. I didn't watch the entire fight. I didn't.
It was actually a good fight. It was a good fight. I mean, Eric. I'll let Eric talk about his point, but I'll tell you what I got out of the fight.
All right. So
AB, typical AB. He hasn't
fought in spurts. He
hasn't fought in 2.5 years.
2 years and 1 month. Okay,
Yeah.
25 months. Okay, he hasn't fought. The very first round, he didn't land a single punch.
He does that all the time, dude. He does that.
No, not one punch. The second round, he landed 1 punch. So between the two, maybe more than that. But anyway, so I gave him the second round, the 8th, the 9th, and the 11th. But that's it.
No, but I thought, like I said, don't get me wrong. He's got a low punch output. This is not AB. He's got to work on that. I don't know why he doesn't. But he is so precise. But when he opened up on this guy, it was scary, dude. I mean, he starts getting those punches going. I mean, AB's.
I understand.
Going,
But brother, when Santiago takes everything he touched, everything that
Santiago looked the worst to wear, man. His face looked like mush, dude.
Well, yeah,
beat the shit out of him.
I mean, but Santiago always looks like that. Santiago, I could spit at him and he'd probably get cut.
Dude, I'm telling you, talk to John Molina. Mike, what did John Molina say about Adrian Broner? Mike,
he said he's got a good punch.
Did he say he was a harder puncher than Bud Crawford? All them, right?
Yeah. He said he's got a good punch. He said he's got a hard punch.
And I'm not taking anything away from Adrian Broner. He's a good guy. I truly wanted him to be able to do this, but Santiago,
he just didn't impress you, huh?
In the way that I scored, won the fight.
No, I know. It's hard for me to watch those kind of fights because I'm not looking at the fair thing. It was the same thing in the Burchell Valdez fight.
That brings into question judges. Okay, when judges have a skew to one side or a skew to the other side, that causes that. I had zero. What's the word I'm looking for?
Bias.
I had zero bias on this fight. Zero. And so when I just literally scored the fight like this, the fight should be scored. And I honestly think Santiago won that fight. And I thought it was kind of sad that, he didn't. So
what was his reaction after the fight, Santiago?
He accepted it. He said that, hey, it was in the judge's hands. He thought he did better. He's all, but he'll be back. He was 14 and going to fight. Yeah.
I mean, he'll be back. He's a young fighter. He was
22 years old
at the time. So
it was a good learning experience for him.
It was. But you know what? I honestly don't think that fighters should expect or have to go into the last round having won as much of the fight as possible and your trainer telling you have to knock this guy in order for us to get a fair shake at this. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have to happen like that.
It looks like we got a comment here, guys, on our thing. A South, I believe it's Neil. It says Canelo's fight goes the distance plus 500. Is that 500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, throw $5 on that thing just so we can win some money. There's no way that Canelo's fight goes a different distance.
Well, that's why the
It's 4,000 or plus 4,000 for Canelo. Minus 1,500 for Vladimir or whatever his name is.
Yildirim. So if it goes the distance, then you can win some money if Canelo wins this, because they're expecting Canelo to knock this kid out, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you can make some money. So is that pretty good? I'm not a betting guy too much. I don't know the odds. I mean, is that pretty good?
It was literally plus 4,000 when I looked it up.
Wow.
That's like, what do you got to bet? 4,000 in order to win $100? 4,100.
It also
Something
puts
like
on here
that,
that T-Mobile
Yeah.
can go 15% capacity.
So T-Mobile,
no.
yeah, and that's as of right now. So maybe by like I said, maybe by September they'll be back to 60, 70, 80% capacity. That's the hope, anyways, because
Yeah.
that's got to be a big weekend. That's got to be a big fight weekend. I'm hoping for a Jaime Munguia Triple G fight in September, Mexican Independence Day.
That would be great, man.
Or if not that, it's got to be a Canelo. It's got to be a big fight. It can't be just Canelo against another, Yildirim type fighter. It's got to be
What if
something.
it were
big.
Canelo and Jaime?
Well, Canelo's already made it very clear he doesn't want to fight Jaime Munguia. He used the. I'm not going to say it's an excuse, but he used the reasoning that he doesn't want to fight another Mexican star. He wants to fight people outside. I mean, I don't know. It's a cultural thing or something. I don't understand that, because you just had two Mexicans go toe to toe, one from Nogales, one from Cancun. They just went toe to toe on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was an amazing fight too.
So
I think it's kind of like the big kid on the block, and he knows losing to Munguia. Canelo being from Guadalajara,
Ace from Guadalajara.
and Munguia is from Tijuana. Well, let me just say something. There's a big disparity between there. You got the uppities up there in Guadalajara, and then you got the ones who sell chiclets in Tijuana. And let's be honest, like I said, I mean, Canelo doesn't want to eat that crow. He loses to a kid from Tijuana that he feels he should have. Jaime's dangerous. I mean, let's be honest. He's a big physical guy. He's young. He's only getting better with the right training and the right motivation. There's nobody this kid can't go through. I know he's got his flaws. I just wish people would really look at what he's done and not what he hasn't done. Because at 23 years old, look what he's already done.
It's real simple. Guys like Floyd Mayweather would basically were almost unhittable. You can never catch him flush, and they got a bunch of. They hated him for that. They said, well, he never doesn't stand toe to toe and trade, like a real fighter. And then Jaime Munguia does that, and they want to bash him for it. So which is it? Do you like a guy that stands and trades and is very vulnerable and hittable, or do you like a guy that doesn't? I mean, you just can't win with boxing fans sometimes.
I'm telling you, it's that effect, bro. There is a group of fighters in this world right now that for some reason these boxing writers got together and these so-called analysts, and they just want to just keep driving that salt into the wound. Jojo Diaz, Jaime Munguia. These are just a couple of the fighters. I mean, for some reason, Canelo Alvarez, they don't give Canelo near enough credit for the accomplishments he's made. There's always an excuse. Callum Smith was inexperienced. Kovalov was drunk, whatever. They don't just give the guy say, hey, thank you, Canelo, for a great fight and a great victory. I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree.
You're right. 100%.
It's sad, man. It's sad. But I know Joseph Parker's fighting this week against undefeated Junior Fa.
Oh, that's another fight that I mean, I don't even know is that fight even worth a mention? I mean, there's a fight that's been postponed multiple times. Joseph Parker is another guy where he really has to change up his tactics and show something, because at this point, to me, he's no different than a Dominic Brazil at this point. He comes up short in the big fights and just hasn't really looked devastating at all in the last several years. I mean, early in his career, he was hurting guys and knocking guys out. And then his last several fights, he just hasn't done anything.
Yeah. He's
a guy that I used to like. He just,
did you guys see that fight?
What?
The Brazil fight?
Yes, they did. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't a whole lot. I mean, we talked about Otto too, and the fact that the difference between him and Brazil was the fact that Otto's been in there. He was a chief sparring partner for Anthony Joshua. Obviously, had his fight with Tyson Fury, which he was very competitive. Had Tyson Fury in a little bit of question there for a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a guy who's on the rise up. He's on the right path. Where Dominic Brazil, great guy. I know, Mike, you personally done stuff with him. He's just not. It's not his game anymore. He doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have the right.
He's a guy that came to boxing late too. You know,
Yeah.
a little different. You know, we talked about Nate Weston coming to boxing late after being a collegiate football player. Dominic Brazil, the same thing. I believe he played for University of Colorado or University of Northern Colorado.
Long Beach. Long Beach. He played for Long Beach State.
Dominic Brazil
played for Long Beach State.
I thought he played for Colorado or something.
No,
like
he
that.
might have went to Colorado afterwards, but he played for Long Beach State for a while.
Oh, he might have started there, but anyway, either way, I don't know, man. He's just, I don't know. He just
seemed half a step off.
Yeah, I don't know, Dominic. I hope he's been smart with his money, because the last thing in the world I'd want to see is him just to be another one of those opponents and take beatings for these young guys coming up, these young prospects, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know, he was a guy who showed a lot of promise. I got to be honest with you. When I first saw him, I wasn't overly impressed with him, but he showed a high ring IQ. But lately, his fights have just, and let's be honest, Dominic Brazil is a much better boxer than Deontay Wilder. It was just that punch, you know. He for some reason, Dominic went into that fight just afraid of that punch. And when you're looking for something, it'll eventually catch you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He should have just stuck to what he knows best, you know. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, but
very true.
So what are we at right now? What are we at?
We're about an hour in, guys. So
yeah.
It was a little bit of a short show tonight because, once again, there's only one. Well, there's a couple fights coming up. Speaking about the one big one, obviously Canelo, we want to see, and we'll obviously be back on Sunday to talk about that one. Any final thoughts for tonight, guys?
One final thought. After this, let's rehook up one more time for about 20 minutes, if possible. Talk about our other show. That'd be great.
All right. Sounds good. We'll just do a 3-way call. But yeah, I'm gonna. Can I do the? What was his name? The one who from HBO, the one who died. Larry Merchant.
No, Larry Merchant didn't die.
Who's on? Remember, Merchant used to do those little things. I'm gonna do my Larry Merchant. Ready? Final thoughts.
Harold Letterman.
No, not Harold Letterman. I'm talking about
Jim Lampley.
No, remember Harold? Larry Merchant used to do this. They go like, "Any final thoughts, Larry Merchant?" And he'd be like,
"Oh yeah."
In a world where it seems your O is more important than the fans, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna come up with some better ones next time. But whatever.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna start.
All right, so we're gonna. So I just got a message. We're gonna have to figure out a way so that me and Eric can see the comments on the screen, so that we can.
Here. I'm replying to them right now.
No, but the way that me and Eric can see the comments on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way we can see it?
AJ, put it to chat or something. Click on the chat box.
It's on chat. It's on.
Oh, here, let me.
Because it's a Zoom. We'll talk about it.
Michael, click on chat real quick.
All right.
All right. So if anybody's out there, just give us a quick little notice.
No, it's all right. We got it. He got some messages earlier. It's fine. I just want to be able to do that. If people want to interact with us, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're gonna be changing a lot of things. I mean,
you see that, Michael?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right.
Yep.
We got our cool little intro now.
Yeah.
We'll tighten that up. But I mean, I guess that's it, guys. It's already 6:04. Let's go ahead and cut this because now we're just wasting people's time.
It's never a waste of time when you're with the Mendiola brothers.
Yeah, man. All right, Mike.
Anyways.
Mighty Mike, take us out.
All right, for everybody at Enter the Ring Live, thank you for joining us. For Mighty Mike,
AJ Rage,
and Eric the Red.
We'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a good rest of the week. Enjoy the fights on Saturday, and be ready to talk boxing Sunday, 5:00. West Coast, 8:00 Eastern.